I bless the mic because I got something to say. I rock headphones because I'm listening twice as much as I talk. We're on the Blue Room podcast right now. We chopping it up about marriage. And right now, I think we kind of went hard on, well, I went hard on women. Let me speak in an I statement. I went hard. I went hard on women. What we going to do right here is I'm going to bring y'all back on the screen. Right here, we're going to talk about the man's role in marriage. And I do want to give a slight backdrop here because this is how I think God perceives it. And I never say things and think that I'm 100% correct. I am not that guy. I believe that I can teach something and be totally wrong. So let me start off with that premise. But the Bible actually says in Genesis, it's the last, in chapter 2, it says, for this reason, he's talking about when he gave the woman to Adam. He says, for this reason, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife. Okay. Now, I'm under the impression that I am supposed to be the glue of my marriage because as a man, I am trying to learn how to be more accountable, you guys. I'm trying to be accountable for what happens. Tony just said it about the patriarchy, but I am trying to be more accountable for what happens in my house. So when I say a man is supposed to cleave to his wife, I don't mean he's cleaving to her from a place of weakness. He's cleaving to her from a place of strength. He's cleaving to her from a place of love. And I don't want to get into the four quadrants of a man, which we'll have shows about. I'll do some teaching about it. But when a man is integrated, a woman will either enjoy his rule or learn to enjoy it. Because I believe as a man, I have to cleave. I'm not telling you I'm cleaving from weakness. I'm not running up behind you and all of that. But I believe that God leaves the impetus on a man to cleave to that woman. Because statistics show that what? 75% of them ain't letting you cleave. I mean, statistics say that 75% of them are trying to run. Okay. And I'm not saying they don't have reasons. That's for a different show. I want y'all to chop it up about what do you think the man's role in keeping a marriage? What is the man's role in keeping a marriage together?
Oh yeah, Tony.
Like he mentioned, the man is the beginning of the family. I think that a lot of these terms that we use, concerning the man, husband and wife and family, a lot of people, because of modern interpretation, we're offended by them. And the funny thing is, particularly for believing people who do have some spirituality, God always has a foundation. So if you want to make any changes, you have to first agree with the foundation.
That's right.
If you look at the scripture, you see some people they were allowed for many reasons to break certain rules and laws because of their approach towards God and towards the situation. But they first agreed with God. They first agreed with the foundation. So a lot of people are trying to make adjustments and changes and have not agreed with God first.
Come on.
That this is the way things, this is the way how I made them, and this is the foundation we build on, right? The father is the beginning of the family, period. We know that the kids rest in our loins. The father is the beginning of the family. That's the way God made things. So I think that the responsibility of a man is that he has to be the first initiator. Now, is that a law? I don't believe so. I don't believe it's law. Sometimes with certain dynamics with people, but the foundation is the man is the first, like you say, to cleave, right? Or to discover, or to pursue, or to grasp, or lay hold of. So it establishes how you, and this is what a lot of people don't understand, it establishes how things will be moving forward. If it don't start off like that, don't expect it to be that later.
Oh man, so you better say that 3 times.
And a a lot of men haven't, and I tell women all the time who are single mothers with boys, get your son around men. Get them around men, because they have to hear these things, or she will cleave to him and he's gonna pay for it.
Come on. That's right. You're right. You are
Right.
exactly right. You are exactly right.
Patriarchy society, right? And I think that's where people don't understand, is that whatever society you live in will generally determine the flow of things moving forward. Like, you can't, if you want to do certain things, and then now that it's not acceptable, so there's going to be kickback or resistance, put it that way. There's going to be resistance in the building, because you want to do things different than the society you live in. But you were not built for that resistance. So if I go to a place way out in Africa where the women are, a tribe where the women are in charge, that's a society to live in. It's not beneficial for me to come in there acting like this or doing this. So we don't consider that because this is a patriarchy society or dominant Christian society, Western society, that sometimes it's not about what you want, it's about what's beneficial to make things work, or to get the job done.
That's right. That's right. You got something, Corey?
Yeah, I just feel like, as men, our role is, to be a leader, be a teacher. But I'm not gonna go the spiritual way, because, like I said, I am very spiritually inclined. But you have a lot of guys out here, and even a lot of women, that's not spiritually inclined and don't go by the Bible, right? So a lot of us, we haven't had that foundation as as men and as women. As men, we haven't had that father figure around. We haven't had that mentor around to guide us in the right direction. And we go into this marriage not having no mentors, not seeking no type of therapy, and we got all of this trauma within us. And we go into this marriage, and it's like we don't know what to do. I think Tony, he hit it on the head. Like, when the woman asks, okay, ain't nothing in the refrigerator to eat, what do we do? Or when the kids ask, Daddy, I want to go here, I want to go there, and I can't support that. It makes you feel very, very vulnerable, man. And like, so you have suicidal thoughts. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And that's because we haven't, as men, we don't seek the help that we need a lot of the times. And I am a witness of that, because I did finally seek the help that I needed, and I got the mentors around me, like Mikhail talking to right now, and a couple of my father and everything. But at the end of the day, man, as men, we have to seek that help. You know what I'm saying? We have to get help and talk to a therapist, or even have them mentors in our life, man, so we can navigate through the marriage in a positive way. Because it like Tony said, man, it's ugly pressure in a marriage when you can't provide like you want to, and you sit there and you quiet, and if you have a wife that's kind of like pressuring you, and she's steady in your ear about this and that, you don't know which way to go. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't have that leadership, you're gonna sit there and you're just gonna be like, I don't know what to do. I'm just sitting here trying to figure it out. But then you have that woman pressuring you, and it's like, you don't really know what to do. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, and the reason why I even brought it up I run men's weekends, and I need both of you guys to go these weekends. These weekends are awesome. They changed my life, taught me a lot about being a man. And I have exercise. I have a lot of stuff that I'm into that center me and grounds me. But I need men to be accountable for what we do. Like
Right.
you said, we need to go get help for our trauma.
Right.
We need as men to get together and find out what we need to do as men. Because one
Yeah.
thing I've realized is that a person who goes to the gun range, right? And
Mm-hmm.
it's a target. It ain't moving nowhere. And you got your gun. If you keep missing that target, it ain't nothing wrong with the target.
Right.
It is
Mm-hmm.
something wrong with your shooting. And you
Right.
keep missing. Same thing with basketball. When somebody can't shoot free throws, you know they're just a bum. You know why? Because the hoop doesn't move anywhere. And what I challenge myself with as a man is to be so integrated. I'm not saying perfect. It's to be integrated where I'm consistent enough as a man that my wife can actually practice her shooting. So, like, I'm so in touch with my trauma that I can consistently be a buffer for her. I can consistently be a mirror for her. Where I'm consistent enough, transparent enough, and authentic enough to provide a safe space for my
Mm-hmm.
wife to grow and develop the same way I do. Because I think what happens in a relationship is if 75% of women are asking for divorce, at least half of them probably got a reason to ask for one. Okay. I'm not going to just sit up here and say that out of that
Sure. Sure.
75%, they all bogus. But I
Right.
will
Yeah.
say this as men, what do we actually need to do to stay married? Because, of course, when I say cleave, I do mean cleave from strength. I do mean cleave because I'm working on my trauma. I do mean cleave because I actually have skills of communication. I have skills of conflict resolution. I have skills of active listening. Meaning, what do we do as men when we cleave? What tools do we have so we can cleave? Because Tony said it. Man, we be out here trying to get married, bro. Especially believers. You know what? I don't want to live in sin no more,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. So we just go get married, or we got
Yeah.
somebody pregnant and we go get married. But
Yeah.
what we don't get, I believe marriage, like anything else in any other relationship, I believe that it takes skill. I believe there are certain skills a man needs to be married, and I
Yeah.
believe that
Absolutely.
men lack skills to be married, man.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
just lack
That's fact.
skill. We don't
Yeah.
know how to resolve conflict. We don't know how to manage money. We don't know how to be active listeners. We don't know how to
Yeah.
tap into our trauma. We don't know how to utilize the emotions because we are emotional, but we don't know how to utilize them. So when I say cleave, I mean cleave from a
Yeah.
standpoint where there are practical things that men can be taught. I think Corey said that. Didn't go to no premarital counseling. I think there are things that can be taught. I think that our
Yeah.
toolbox can be expanded so that when we get married, y'all, we can build something beautiful. Anybody want to
Absolutely.
piggyback on that?
Yeah. Do we? Y'all heard both of y'all say do a lot. And a lot of y'all do. Or we're not doing, doing. Men in the patriarch society are doers. So, and
Yep.
here's the funny thing though, because women don't believe that they agree with the patriarch society, but their expectations are that their man would do.
Hey, say that. Please repeat that for me. Run that back, bro. Run that back. Come on.
In a patriarchy society, men are doers, and women don't believe that they agree with the patriarch society, but their expectations for men are for them to do.
Mm-mm-mm.
So going back to that pressure. So it also going back to what men should be in a marriage in a patriarchal society, doers, right? We should
Yeah.
be doers. So when it's time for the mortgage to come in, we should know what to do. When it's time for the kids, we should know what to do. When it's someone the wife at, we should know what to do. So we're the first responders. I don't know if everybody know what a first responder is.
That's dope.
First
I
No,
am.
I
first
know what it is. Yeah.
I'm a
right?
psychological first
We're
responder.
men are first responders. We the first person on the scene. We the first person to scout the land, right? We the first person to show or to do, and everybody else mimics. Like he was just saying, I create this place and I do so she can. You know,
Yeah.
so we are the first. Men should be first responders. You know, men should be first responders. We should do. I know for me in my marriage, especially growing up in Inglewood, man, I thought very little of myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
so I didn't believe that I could do college, or I didn't believe that I could do this, because that poverty mindset, growing up in these conditions and environments, that you can't think higher than what you have experienced. So you
Yeah.
know how difficult it was for me to step outside of what I did not understand, what I did not have direction for, what I didn't have mentorship for. You know, so many of us are the pioneers of our family and bloodline. That men have to do it afraid. You have to do it, without
That's
knowing
right.
if that step's gonna collapse on you or not, and
That's right.
roll with whatever comes with it. I didn't know I would be successful in college, but my purpose was, because for me, I worked physical jobs my life. That was my specialty. You know, so I saw in the future that my body would break down, and I needed my wife to go to school for preparing for a time where I would take a lesser role in the home as far as finances go.
Yeah.
So I went to school to show her that she can go to school, because my wife, she didn't finish high school, hadn't had a high school diploma. When I went, she believed she could.
You don't,
So
man.
I left. I'm like she
Right.
comfortable in school now. I'm good. Now I can go back laboring, right? And being a provider. Next thing, my wife is working on her RN right now.
That's love.
That's dope.
So
That's
I
dope.
believe men, and guess what? I suffered uh some work injuries where I'm currently transitioning out of physical labor because I physically can't do it anymore.
Okay.
So men we're the visionaries of the family, but I think the foundation that we have to do. We're doers. And once again, going back to that, when that family come to you, that wife or those kids come to you, what do we do now? He has to
Yeah.
know what to do. He has
That's
to know
right.
what to
Or
do.
he better figure it out.
Right.
Or
One
he
or the
better
other.
figure it
Right.
out.
That's right.
I got it. I got it. Because many times that's all they listening. Man, men, listen to me. All they want to hear, many times they don't even have to see anything. They want to see that you believe that you got it.
Yep.
Right.
And when they come to
Yep.
you, what are we going to do today? I got it. Don't worry about it.
Yep.
They
Right.
can that if you look at, they go back doing what they was doing. They go
Mm-hmm.
back doing what they was doing.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna figure it out. Not saying that the wife isn't supposed to help, especially in nowadays where the economy and things are just getting, everybody got to work now. You know what I'm
Takes two.
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
It takes
Everybody
two.
got to work now. So
Yeah.
yeah, first responders.
Yeah.
That's
I
dope. That's
uh
dope.
I I just think for men, like you said, first responders, we have to pick the right person for us. You know what I'm saying? We
Yeah.
have to match that person up with us, and how we are, because most women, they'll cleave to us, right? Because they'll figure out, okay, I want to follow this man. So they'll start liking the same music you like. They'll start liking the same sports you like. They will, cleave to you. You know what I'm saying? But you have to be that leader and say, okay, this is what we gonna do. And she's gotta be into it. She gotta be on the same page with you. But sometimes we end up choosing the wrong person because we don't know ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And
Right.
that's critical. You have to understand yourself. You have to learn yourself to be able to match yourself up with the right person. Because you can't match yourself up with a person that drinks a lot or is an alcoholic, but you not. that's a recipe for disaster. You know what I'm saying? So just going forward as men, we have to, you know, figure out, you know, who we are and what we need to have in our life. So I guess I'm just trying to say, as much as we want, a lot of us want to be married, men too, because there's a lot of men out here that wants to be married. You know, just figure out who you are first. And that woman will follow. She will follow. You know, if she know you're a good leader, and because nowadays, like Tony said, you know, it takes two now. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of these women, they're choosing who they want, who they feel comfortable with. You know what I'm saying, and taking care of them for the rest of their life. You know what I'm saying? So I guess, you know, we in times that, you know, people are very picky, and we end up being alone for the rest of our life because, you know, folks aren't equipped to doing the things that, you know, we want to do.
Yeah, and you
Even
guys,
with this live, man.
what?
I'm sorry. Even with this live, like even with this live, like with when we go into that view of when we by ourselves, like the first time you did it, man, I felt alone because I'm
Right.
telling you, because I'm looking for affirmation from y'all to
Right.
make sure I'm saying the right things. And when I got
Same
left
here.
alone, I think, and I think that that's a lot, even in relationship and marriage, and even being a man in this society, is that, man, when we alone, or when we feel that, it does
Yeah.
something to us.
Yeah.
It does something
Yeah.
to us. You know,
Yeah.
it does something to us.
Without question.
That's funny you went there. I was gonna go there, and I'm not trying to plug these weekends, but I'm telling y'all, I've found a way not to do life alone as a man. Like I don't
Right.
do life alone. I lost my brother and inherited a whole bunch of other brothers that I do life with. And I got this from Tony when he was talking about, and you, Corey, when we talking about, they're really the first trauma of most of our boys and our girls is that they don't have a father. You know what I'm saying? That's like really a trauma. And I imagine being a man. I just told my wife 2 days ago, Trina, I feel like a man now. I know I'm a man now. Like I know I'm a man. I've been taught how to be a man. I've been able to model other men. I do men things. I have ambition. I have competence. I have confidence. I do set boundaries. I do believe I'm an integrated man. I'm not saying that to brag, but I do believe it's a man like me and men like you, or men who know they're men. It's our job to make sure that we are held accountable. We hold each other accountable, and we actually teach these boys how to be men, because what happens is them being men is like riding a bike without training wheels. I didn't learn with no training wheels. I'm from the West Side, from Lawndale. I didn't learn with no darn training wheels. My old man said, "Get on this darn bike, and I'm gonna put my hand on the back of this boy, and I'm gonna hold you." And I just fell. I failed a whole bunch of times, and then I learned how to ride a bike. But I didn't learn how to be a man from my father. I had to learn it. And when I say cleave, I mean we have to cleave with information. We have to cleave with a skill set. We have to cleave with more than love. We have to cleave with more than happiness. We have to cleave with more than that. And we do need God to cleave. We do. I
Yeah, we do.
believe that we have to be integrated men, and we do not have to do life alone. And I'm looking at y'all, and you do not have to do life alone. You do not. Any man, I'm looking at the camera when I say this, any man who does life alone has chosen to do it. At some point, you
Right.
can do life with somebody. I
Yeah.
had to make the choice, and a lot of us do, y'all. And that's going to conclude this segment. Then I'm going to wrap it up with some last minute questions for y'all. I love this conversation. Y'all definitely gonna be regulars on here. Plus, y'all nice looking. I bless the mic because I got something to say. I rock headphones because I'm listening twice as much as I talk, y'all. It's the Blue Room Podcast, and we're really trying to enhance men, right? Helping them walk in the fullness of their masculinity by challenging their thinking and cultivating their spiritual and emotional health by helping them develop in the areas of faith, mental health, marriage, family, and money. And that's the Blue Room Podcast right there. Got a lot of resources connected to it as this brand grows. And I'm telling y'all, men, we have to get in our places.